Today, I'd like to talk about what's the big idea and how lottery thinking is what holds us back. So this idea of the big idea is getting lost in winning the lottery, when the micro idea is the true lottery, and it's given to you every day. So if you're interested in the micro idea, the real breadcrumb trail to abundance, stick around. The ego is that part of you that is constantly overlooking. Over-dramatizing. Overthinking. Overreacting. And one of the places it overlooks is in the cultivation of ideas. And everybody's looking for the big idea, the big break, the big moment. The eureka. And the universe just doesn't work that way. Never has. You might want to think of the universe as being slow and steady. And it always begins with germination, right? It begins with embryos and seeds and particles. And we never see the value in pennies or the treasure of what you might call a micro idea. And a true pioneer never overlooks an idea. The ego is not pioneering. That's not the explorer in you. See, it takes no effort to win the lottery. It takes absolutely no work to do that. And so that is a poor man's vision of wealth. That is how scarcity solves its problem. With a hero or a savior or a big moment or an explosive big thing. But the universe is more or less like a breadcrumb trail. And nevermore is this more evident than when you're in a crisis. When you're being squeezed into a tight space and you only have an idea. You are left with only that. You will not ignore it, you see. It's those moments where you cannot think of anything else except what you would consider this exhaustive or last-ditch idea. That seems far-fetched. Seems like a fool's option. It's a lot like many of the stories in the Old Testament, which are absolutely hysterical. If you think about it, when at the Battle of Jericho, I forget the main character in that, but Joshua, at the Battle of Jericho, all that Joshua, if you think about this, and I'm not saying that the story actually happened, but it is a illustration of the absurdity of a miracle. The only thing that Joshua could think of was to blow a trumpet. To walk around the walls of Jericho blowing a horn. The ego, had Joshua really had an ego and came up with that idea, he would have thought, oh, that's so stupid. Here's this fortress we're supposed to get through, and I'm supposed to blow what amounts to a kazoo. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures, and so that was the last of the ideas, was to blow air through a trumpet. And the walls came a-tumbling down. Another classic example is, of course, David and Goliath. All he had was a stick and a rubber band and a stone. That's desperate. Or it looks desperate. It looks futile. It looks like foolishness. And so Moses' tool, Moses' great idea was to take a staff, a wooden object, and create a path for his people. So these things, these ideas, these so-called acts of God, or miraculous moments, are these last-ditch efforts, because that's the only thing these poor people could think of. Blow a trumpet. That's my favorite. Use a slingshot, or take a wooden stick and jab it into the Red Sea. But that's exactly what an innovator does. They experiment with weird things, and penicillin is discovered. They are on welfare, riding on a train, and take out a notebook and start writing Harry Potter. See, that's weird. J.K. Rowling, her defense against her scarcity was a pad and paper, a pen and a paper. That's how she got herself out of poverty. Not by choosing lottery numbers. Surely she had no idea that'd be a multi-billion-dollar industry. No idea. That moving a pen on a piece of paper would be her abracadabra. You know what it is? It's honoring the idea. I don't care how ridiculous it is. I don't care how your ego turns its nose up at it. That's why people stay impoverished. They don't turn over every stone in their brain. They don't experiment with stuff. They don't see life as an adventure. They don't pick up pennies. because they need millions. It's the people who take the time to pick up a penny, to take an idea and cultivate it, no matter how silly it is, or no matter how unrelated it is to their survival. It's all they had: a trumpet, a staff, and a slingshot. And there are tons of examples of this in modern society. People giving away their last dollar. People taking the silliest ideas and turning them into multi-million-dollar corporations. All because they didn't poo-poo their idea. They cultivated it. They honored it. You see, this goes along with everything in your life. If you don't appreciate the small things, the tiny little things like air and water and electricity and consciousness itself, which makes it all possible, you'll never find the chain reaction which turns into lotteries on their own. See, splitting the atom, it's not just splitting the atom, it is a chain reaction. Once that tiny little thing is opened, it cascades. And so you don't recognize this in your own ideas. Everybody is sitting on an idea that could sustain them and make them prosperous for the rest of their life. In the same way that splitting an atom can power entire nations. But we don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. We don't want to go to our ideas and see what will happen. A lot of this is experimentation. Okay, I've chased some ideas that don't go anywhere. Many of the seeds that we plant do not root. It just takes one seed. And so the brain is scattering seeds every single day. And it's not until you're in a crisis that you realize one of these seeds will take root. Something will blossom and sustain me. That's the micro idea. And so the universe is constantly scattering seeds. Not all of them take. If you know about sea turtles, a sea turtle can lay hundreds, maybe thousands of eggs, and there's just maybe one or two that survive, but that's all it takes. A human being is not to overlook a single idea. I don't care how silly it is. I don't care if you have to walk around City Hall with a trumpet. To effect change, to find that big idea, all you have to do is split the atom. Get into your ideas and try them out, no matter how silly they are, because you never know where they'll lead you. You might pursue this tiny little idea which seems stupid to your ego, but it might lead you directly to the CEO of a company who knows of an opportunity, who blah, 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 chain reaction, kaboom. All because you chased a little idea. It's called an inkling. And no, they don't all catch a fire. And that's the fun part of it. Leave no idea uncultivated. And I'll tell you where this works the best, and it's in crisis. When you don't have anything except an idea, you will follow it. And you will realize those little tiny sparks of ideas could have turned into the chain reaction that you're looking for. But you'd rather play the lottery and wait. Well, guess what? You could wait several lifetimes before having such luck. Take the seeds that are scattered in your brain and use them. Don't call them stupid. Embryos are possibilities. Chain reactions can occur in the smallest of places with the stupidest of tools. You're not going to get the big idea. You're going to cultivate the small ones. And you're going to produce a chain reaction. And it will surprise you with how little it took. My name is Ryan. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com, or one of my books on Amazon. We'll see you next time.